Hello everyone and welcome to Total Quilter Monthly for June 2019. My name is Mark Garetz and I'm a National Floriani educator. This month we're going to be talking about things that are only available in Total Quilter. And this is actually going to be a series over several months. We'll be featuring things that are again only in Total Quilter. And this month we're going to be talking about the other file formats that you can load and use in Total Quilter. So as you probably know, Total Quilter can open all of your normal embroidery formats like PES and VIP and VP3 and EXP, etc. But what you may not know is that this is the only program that Floriani makes that is able to open formats that are typically used in long arm quilting machines. It can also write those formats if you want to create a file for your long arm quilting machine. But what we're going to do today is assume you don't have one of those, but we're going to look and see how those formats can be useful for us anyway. So to see what kind of formats the software opens, all you have to do is start opening something by clicking Open Design, and it's going to come up with a folder wherever you last were, and down here in the file type it's normally set to all designs right here, but to see what it can open we just click the drop down and you can see it opens the normal Floriani WIF files, our older format of click to stitch or C2S files. Here's Baby Lock and Brother PES format, ELNA, and on and on and on. But as we get down here, we come to some formats that are kind of unique to Total Quilter. And first we'll start with the AutoCAD DXF format. Now this is a vector format, and normally, if you'll recall, the way you would import a vector artwork into Total Quilter and pretty much any other Floriani program would be with the File Import command. But DXF also shows up here in the File Open command. So it's possible to open a DXF file directly. Now DXF is a AutoCAD format mainly used in the commercial world for drafting of objects all the way up to buildings. But in the quilting world, the AutoCAD DXF format has become sort of a default interchange format for quilting designs because it's just outlines, and you'll find a lot of files in that AutoCAD DXF format. So we'll play with that a little bit later, but here you can see there's the PAT format for ABM and Nova machines, CQP for CompuQuilter, HQF for Handy Quilter Pro Stitcher format, IntelliQuilter IQP, PC Quilter, which is a text, Qbot, PLT file, which is an old HPGL plotter file, and side saddle format SSD. The most popular format out there by far for long arm quilters is the Statler Stitcher format, also known as QLI. And then lastly down here you can see it can also open zip files. Now zip files is not a format, but it's a collection of files in a zip folder that are compressed, and normally you can't see into those with these programs, but the Floriani suite of programs allows you to look inside zip files. Now to reiterate, all of these files here, AutoCAD through Statler Stitcher, these are kind of unique to Total Quilter, and say kind of because the AutoCAD format is capable of being opened in a couple of other of our programs, but mainly it's here, and all of these long arm quilter formats are only in Total Quilter and My Decorative Quilter. So let's go ahead and look here in this directory that I've opened, which is actually my desktop, and you can see here there's a directory called hq-sunflowerdelight.zip. So this is a zipped folder, and so what's in here, like I said earlier, is compressed. And HQ is for Handy Quilter. So this was a free download that I got from Handy Quilter, and I can just open it up directly without having to unzip it. So if I double click on it, let me double click on it there. Now it opens up and it shows us there are 4 different files inside this zip folder. One is a DXF file. Like I said, that's kind of standard format. HQF is the Handy Quilter format. And QLI is, like I said, the Statler Stitcher format, and that's what's pretty common in long arm formatting. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and choose the QLI format. I see a preview of it over here, and I'm just going to click OK, and it is going to open up and show me that design. Now I'm going to turn on 3D so you can see what the stitches look like, and it's in black, so that's nice. It's easy for us to see, and it's kind of a nice motif, and it looks like it's about 8 by 8, which would be a perfect size for an 8-inch quilt block. And this is already stitches, so if I wanted to use this, I could convert it to a PES format or whatever other format I need just by simply saving it again as that new format. So I would go up here to File, and then I would click Save As, which is right here, and then I would choose my format for what I wanted to save it as, anything from a WAF, PES, etc. I'm not going to do that, but you understand how to do that. So you would just resave it in that format, then you could load it into your embroidery machine and stitch it out there. You wouldn't need to have a long arm quilter to stitch this design. Now, it's pretty well set up, and let's watch it stitch by using our slow stitch simulator here, or our stitch simulator. I'm going to click this little slider, and I'm just going to move through the design and see how it sews. And it looks like it's sewing pretty reasonable. So it's sewing all continuously, and it's sewing again, and it's going around and making those circles, and then finally the spiral into the center. And the reason it's already set up to sew continuously and very nicely is because the long arm quilters don't have the ability to trim. And so they want their files to be all continuous so they don't have to trim. And that's also good for us as embroiderers, so we can take advantage of that. So that's what would happen when you open up one of these long arm quilting formats. So now let's go and open up that DXF file so we can see the differences. So I'm going to come back up here to my File Open icon, go back to this zip folder here, and this time I'm going to choose the DXF file. And I'm going to click OK, and that's going to come into its own brand new window because I have opened it rather than done a file import and import artwork command, which would normally be the way we would get vector artwork into the program. But AutoCAD DXF format is a special case for this one. We can open it directly. So it's going to come into its own new window. Now this is artwork. It is not set up to be stitches. And we can see that because we can see, even though if I turn on 3D, nothing happens to it because there's no stitches here. If I come over here and look at my expanded view by clicking the plus in my sequence view, I can see its artwork. But look at this. It's all of these separate artwork pieces. Tons and tons and tons of little tiny pieces of artwork. All right. Now, is that a problem? Well, maybe, maybe not. Let's see. So I'm going to minimize that so I just see one top item, and I'm going to select it, and let's convert it into stitches by using our one-click wonder, our run conversion command down here. So I'm going to click that, and it is going to take a few seconds to convert all those segments into run stitches. So theoretically, now I have the same thing that I had before. I have that pretty flower pattern in stitches. And if I look at it, it looks okay. And if I expand it, I will see that I've got all of these items here. And what will happen if I try to stitch these? Well, what will happen is it looks like it's going to be okay. So if I go through the sequence here, I can see that it is stitching out pretty much the same as it was before. Okay, but what has happened to all of these is that at the beginning and end of each one of these segments, I have a command that will do a tie-in and a command that will do a tie-off. And so that is going to put in a few extra stitches at the beginning and end of each one of these. And I don't know how well you can see that, but you can kind of see the tie-ins and tie-offs there. All right. If I zoomed way in, you could see that. Let's do it. Let's zoom way in right here where I can kind of see them. Okay, you can see these extra lines here. Those are the tie-ins and tie-offs. All right, let me zoom back out. I'm going to double click the magnifying glass, and remember that is a zoom to fit, so I fit this whole thing on the screen. So how can we fix that? Well, one of the ways we can fix it is we can go into the Commands tab with everything selected. I've got my top level item selected here, and I can change the tie-ins and tie-offs from basic to none. So I can go to none and I can click apply, and that's going to eliminate all the tie-ins and tie-offs. And now I could go in and to the first object I can add one back in, and to the next one I can add one back in. So if I go to my first object, if I go to my Commands tab, you'll see that I have no tie-in and tie-off, but I want to tie in at the very first thing, so I'll put that back to basic and say apply. And then if I scroll all the way down to the end, pick the last run stitch, and I go to my Commands tab, and I go to tie off, and I click basic and click apply. Now I've eliminated all the intermediate tie-ins and tie-offs, and this will stitch out just like it did before. So just to wrap up here, what we've talked about today is the ability of Total Quilter to be able to open in, read in various other formats that are normally for long arm quilters, and the DXF AutoCAD format, which gives you a lot more flexibility in the designs that you can use, because these designs that you can get out there either for free or for purchase are not normally available in a normal embroidery format like PES or VIP or VP3. They're only available in the long arm format. But if you own Total Quilter, you have the ability to read those designs in and convert them so you can use them in your embroidery machine. So that's it for this month. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to invite you to come back next month when we'll take a look at some other things that you can only do with Total Quilter or My Decorative Quilter, and you can't do with any of the other programs that Floriani sells, which is a good reason to own this program. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.